Hey, podcast friends. We got a good topic for you today. Why can't you lose weight? Welcome to HealthiHer, the podcast designed to inspire women to lead lives filled with health and happiness. I'm Dr. Amy Brenner, your host discussing nutrition, hormones, aesthetics, sexual health, and more. Join us each week as we dive into feeling better, looking better, and living better. Surely anybody listening to this has probably struggled with that and have been frustrated. So our guest today is Amanda Treon, and we're going to just dive into all the reasons why you may not have been successful. So welcome, Amanda.
Thank you.
You want to remind everybody of a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So I am a certified nurse midwife. I'm also a nutrition coach. I have several different certifications in nutrition coaching. I have a really quite lengthy background myself in terms of my own journey with health and wellness and nutrition. I've done all the things. I've tried all the diets. I've done all the competitions. So I've learned a lot about nutrition through my own experimentation, along with the things that I've studied for my certifications.
Yeah. So you're doing it professionally, but also like living the life.
Live the lifestyle
on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. So let's get into it. I guess I just first want to address the biggest weight loss drug that's on the market: semaglutide, tirzepatide. I always say that wrong.
Tirzepatide.
Yeah,
Mounjaro.
You may have heard it be called Mounjaro, Zepbound, Wegovy, Ozempic. So is this the miracle drug of weight loss?
100%. It really is. You know, I'm always one who's kind of leery, hesitant, whatever you want to say, around taking medications because I live my life in a way where I want to be as natural and healthy as I can. However, in this world that we live in where science is our friend, this is absolutely a miracle drug for a lot of people and really, really needed.
Yeah. And I think it also has a lot of health benefits. I think there's some benefit on reducing cardiovascular disease, reducing kidney disease, decreasing inflammation in the brain. So people have asked me, like, but what about the safety of it? And, you know, although it can have some side effects, like overall from a health standpoint, like at this point, I don't see any major issues with it. There is some risk if somebody's had a specific thyroid cancer.
Correct. That being said, do I think that somebody who has a normal, healthy BMI should be taking these medications?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Right.
So we see all that, like, who would just here take this drug and weight's just going to fall off of you? What kind of person would that work for?
Would that work? Would weight fall off of you? Maybe. Is it going to stay off? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right?
So we talked before we hit play or hit record on the camera that maybe that would be great for that person that's eating 10,000 calories a day. They're going to Dunkin' Donuts for breakfast, maybe hitting another fast food place for lunch, you know, having a big steak, potato filled with butter, sour cream, a nice dessert, a couple cocktails. They take this semaglutide. It should really cut your appetite, and you cut your calories from 10,000 calories to 5,000 calories. Like, that's going to make a difference.
Absolutely. That is what weight loss is. Consuming less calories than what your body burns at rest. And that's what the peptide helps to do, or I call it a peptide, but that's what semaglutide helps to do, is that it helps to impact those hunger hormones so that you don't have all that food noise happening in the background, and you can make some better, more sort of healthy choices around nutrition without having to deal with that food noise.
But you mentioned, but is it going to stay off when that person, but because these drugs are actually meant that you stay on them forever.
They are. That is true.
That is the implication of these drugs. So that once you start that you do stay on them forever. That's not really our philosophy on our practice. Mainly from a cost standpoint is at this point, these drugs can be really pricey.
They can be, absolutely. Even when you get it from a compounding pharmacy. Granted, it's a lot less expensive than having to pay out of pocket for the commercially available Wegovy or Ozempic, but it is still not cheap.
Yeah. And so in our weight loss programs, which you're one of the nutrition coaches in it, is our goal is to not have people stay on these drugs forever, and to use the lowest dose for the shortest period of time. And so, but what's our can you explain to people what our rationale behind that is? Because we've seen so many people of they just took the drug without any nutrition coaching and it didn't work for them.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of people that I know, I'm sure people that you know, that have taken any of these GLP-1 agonists, and they find that they have rapid amounts of weight loss happen, but they don't get any nutrition coaching along with it. And what's the end result if and when they ever do come off the medication? And there are people that take it and they don't get any results. Why does that happen? Well, it's because of the way that the medication is designed to work. As I kind of mentioned before, the medication helps to impact those hunger hormones. And so it quiets the food noise. It suppresses appetite. So it allows you to eat less food. Just because it allows you to eat less food, does it mean that everybody does eat less food? No. Can you eat through that? Yes. So if you're eating more calories than what your body's burning at rest, are you going to lose weight? No. So the way that weight loss happens when you're taking these medications is the same way that it happens for everybody, in that people are eating less calories than what their body is burning. Therefore, they have weight loss. It's not because the medication is ramping up their metabolism or burning through their calories faster or anything like that. So to that point, for people that are getting this medication prescribed to them from somebody who's not practiced in nutrition coaching, and they're not getting the nutrition coaching that they need along with taking the medication, they may see rapid weight loss happen if they're taking doses that are so high that it just completely turns off any signals for eating food at all whatsoever. And they're just not eating because they don't feel that urge to eat food, which that's great. They're going to see weight loss that might make them healthier in some areas of life. The problem with that is that the weight that comes off is primarily muscle and water. Not good. We don't want that to happen at all. You want to preserve as much lean muscle mass as you can, and that's the first thing to go.
So that's the downside of rapid weight loss, of losing muscle.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if those people ever do come off the peptide for cost or whatever other reason, it's all going to come right back on, because they're going to go back to having more normal hunger cues, which means they're going to eat more calories, which is probably going to end up being more than what their body's burning at rest at that point. And they've lost the muscle mass that helps to burn that energy to allow you to consume more calories.
So in our practice, we don't just prescribe the drug and here's the prescription, see you later, because we believe in a more holistic approach and teaching people about nutrition. I know when I started this program, I really only did it because I wanted to know what I was expecting our patients to do, and which is track their food and put it into an app. And I thought, that's such a hassle and a half. I'm too busy. I really don't want to track my food. And also, I thought, I eat really well. I don't need to do this. I'm pretty knowledgeable about nutrition. I don't need to do this. And it was eye-opening for me that when I started tracking, like, my goodness, the amount of fat calories that really sneak in there. Like, coffee creamer was, oh my goodness. Like, I was eating a lot of eggs, which, I don't know what your thoughts are, but eggs. But then I just modified it and didn't eat as many yolks, and versus I was oblivious to the amount of fat calories that were in eggs and cheese.
Yeah.
And so from that standpoint, and then, after a week of doing it, you're like, okay, it takes an extra 10 minutes of my full day, and it gets pretty routine.
It does. So. Yeah. Yeah. No one likes to track food. I don't either. I mean, no one likes to do it. We're not taught to do it. No one does it with any kind of consistency throughout their lifespan. So it's generally something that feels frustrating and daunting because it's a new skill. It's not something people want to have to do before they eat their food. They just want to eat their food and not have to think about anything else. I totally get all of that, right? But when we're talking about weight loss, if you really want to see what your body can do, you have to collect data. That's what you're doing when you're tracking your food. It does help you to kind of be accountable to the amount of calories that you're eating, but it also helps to provide data, feedback, so that you can see if what you're doing, if the changes that you're making are impacting your body in the way that you think that it should. Not only that, I promise you, when you track your food, you're not going to consume the amount in terms of portion that you would have if you weren't tracking your food, because you're going to see it in black and white and you're going to think, I don't know that I really need that.
Yes, you're like, if I eat that, I'm going to have to enter it into the app. And, you're right. Like, when you're on that medication, it does get rid of the cravings, but it doesn't get rid of just the habits of eating. Well, I normally at the end of the day, get on the couch and watch Netflix and have some sweet treats, like,
or boredom eating,
or boredom, or, when I go to the movies, I always get popcorn and a soda and just all of that habit.
Which is so real and so hard to change, especially if it's habits that you've had for a really long time.
Yeah.
So it helps for sure, but can you eat through that? Yeah.
Yeah. Or I'm in the habit of coming home and opening a bottle of wine and having a glass of wine while I cook dinner and having a glass of wine with dinner. Like, but those calories add up.
Yes, they do, especially the alcohol calories.
Yes.
They're empty calories, so you can consume quite a lot of them, and man, do they add up.
Yeah. Same thing with my sister. Her experience of, she's like, she called me, Amy, what do you suggest? And I just can't lose the rest of this weight. And I said, look, you need to work with our coaches. Like, you need to do this program. And she's like, no, I do intermittent fasting and I'm pretty good. And, I'm really healthy. I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat gluten. I'm really good. I'm like, can you just trust me and do it? And she also, like, I think her exact calories were, oh my gosh, like, this is so embarrassing. Like, I had no idea. She was like, I was eating 2,000 calories a day of cheese. And since then, I think she's lost, I don't know, 50 plus pounds since doing our program.
Yeah. Pretty awesome.
What other things are you seeing when people are doing our program, but maybe they're not having success and they're just, they're getting the shots, but they're not having success?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's a lot that goes into that. I would say probably the top 2-3 biggest issues that I see are underreporting on the food log. Again, we're not taught how to track food. It's not something that we do with any kind of consistency. There's a lot of nuances to it. So studies have shown that humans will underreport their calorie intake by as much as 20%, which 400 to 500 calories a day, potentially, of what somebody's eating. If somebody's really underreporting their calorie intake, so let's say on a 7-day food log, they're reporting they're only eating 1,200 calories as an example, they may be underreporting by as much as 1,000 calories or even more. And it's not intentional.
I'm guilty of that because I knew you were going to look at it and like, I'm going to the Bengals game. I don't want Amanda to see how bad I was that day.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of it's unintentional. Some of it is intentional just because of guilt.
Total intention.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And then unintentionally, things can happen like you just don't track food in the moment and you forget to go back and track it later. Or you don't track every lick, bite, and taste because you're like, that little nibble off my kid's plate, that's not much. It's not going to add. It's fine. I'm not going to track that. Or maybe the app pulls in nutrition information off the label just slightly incorrectly. So no one's immune to this phenomenon. However, 20% is quite a lot. And so I think if you're really just aware of your tracking log and making sure that it is shored up and as accurate as you can get it, that's going to really help in the long run, because what you might be reporting is what should be a calorie deficit may not be even close to being a deficit at all, which doesn't really help us help you in that instance. And so I would say that that's probably the biggest thing that people come across in terms of hurdles with success, is that they're just underreporting. And so they think that they're eating these low calories when in reality, they're probably not. The other thing I think is that people are way overeating processed foods. No wonder why. We live in a modern food environment where processed foods are so easy to get to. Any single store you go to, Bed Bath & Beyond, Dick's, any of them, what do you see at the checkout? Candy bars, right? Absolutely. Chips, candy bars. It's so easy to get. And so in a modern food environment, it's really, really challenging to make those choices that are going to be a little bit healthier, a little bit more nutrient dense, that are going to fill you up, that are going to give you the micronutrients that you need. And so it's really easy to overindulge in those really calorie-filled foods, which end up adding up, and you don't think that you ate that much. If you eat a bag of chips and you eat a bowl of grapes that are the same in terms of the amount of grams of weight, that, they're equal in terms of weight, the bag of chips is going to give you probably 3 times the amount of calories, and you're not going to feel as full as if you eat the bowl of grapes that has the same, weight, but it's way less in calories, and you're going to feel very full from it. So that's probably the second biggest thing, is that people just are not eating enough fruits and vegetables and nutrient-dense foods. 80 to 90% of the population is deficient in fruits and vegetables.
What are your thoughts on, is a calorie of, well, what if I have 100 calories of, those little snack things that say they're 100 calories of that versus, is a piece of fruit about 100-ish calories? Like, is it the same?
Yeah, that's kind of a nuanced question. Yeah, it is, but it isn't, right? So is a calorie a calorie? It is, but what it does to your body and how it impacts your hunger hormones is not the same, right? So is 100 calories of a cookie the same as 100 calories of a piece of fruit? In terms of calories, it's the same, but in terms of its nutrient quality and the micronutrients that it's providing to you, it's not the same. And so from the cookie, you're going to get calories, but you're going to get fat, you're going to get carbohydrate. That's probably about it. From the fruit, you're going to get micronutrients as well. So you're going to get fiber. Depending on the kind of fruit it is, you're going to get vitamin A, C, lots of vitamins and minerals in there, and lots of water. So the fruit has lots of water and lots of fiber in it, which is going to help with satiety. And that cookie that had the same amount of calories is not going to leave you feeling full. It's going to leave you feeling maybe satisfied in terms of having had sugar and fat, but that's about it.
I also just have to believe that if somebody's eating 2,000 calories of, we'll say, fruits and vegetables and some lean meats, and we'll say even organic, high quality proteins versus 2,000 calories of processed foods, there's just no way in the world, even if it's the same amount of calories, that this person over here isn't going to be a healthier person. There's just
No
less
way.
less inflammation, less gut issues. Like this person over the long run is just absolutely going to do better.
100% agreed. Yes. Yes, absolutely. In terms of calories being calories, right? No matter what kinds of food you're eating, can you gain weight when you're eating nutrient dense foods? When you're eating a diet full of good, healthy protein and fruits and vegetables? Yes, because a calorie is a calorie. And to lose weight, you still have to be eating in a calorie deficit. So that's a good point.
Yeah. What are you seeing in people that are doing our program that aren't successful other than lack of tracking?
Yeah, so the lack of tracking, the lack of just not eating nutrient dense foods, and then lack of exercise, not moving their body. And then there's also metabolic issues that might be happening kind of underneath the surface that we don't know about. And so, if people are in our programming, when we have somebody eating in what we think should be a calorie deficit for them, and we've gone through and we've kind of verified that their food log is accurate or is as accurate as they can make it, if they're not having weight loss success, then we would refer them to the medical side of the practice because there's probably something metabolically going on that's impacting their success.
Yeah. And so you worked actually as a nurse practitioner or a midwife in our practice and saw all those patients for many, many years. Let's go through some of those medical concerns that also may be interfering with somebody's weight journey.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of them.
there's a lot of them.
Sleep,
Yeah.
hormones.
Sleep. So yeah, I mean, if you're not sleeping, I mean, that just is a setup for insulin resistance. That's something I've actually struggled with, and I usually use a glucose monitor. I had to take it off because I was just getting too many lows, and it was interfering with my sleep. So
Yeah.
I've actually gone the other way, and like I'm actually in the normal range, and I had too many lows, asymptomatic lows. So I had to turn it off because it was just interfering with my sleep. But if I didn't sleep at night, my blood sugar was so angry and I was tracking. So again, it's all about tracking.
It is, yeah. The other thing with not sleeping well is that it may or may not impact your insulin and your glucose levels. It may, everybody's different in terms of how their body and their physiology works. But the thing it is going to do for sure is make it harder for you to make those good, healthy, nutrient-dense food choices when you're tired the next day.
Yeah.
You're going to want the sugar. You're going to want the processed foods. And that's what's easy and available.
Yeah. Who wants to go home after work and make dinner? You're like, yeah, we're just going to get a pizza.
Not happening. Right.
Yeah. So sleep is just huge. I think from a hormone standpoint, like if people are having hot flashes or have low progesterone, like that could just, it's all related. Like that could be a reason why you're not sleeping. If you're estrogen, just from a hormone standpoint, if you're estrogen dominant, like that could be a reason for weight gain.
Absolutely.
Testosterone.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing. If you're having a lot of symptoms from menopause, hot flashes, irritability, not sleeping well, are you going to want to eat fruits and vegetables the next day? Or are you going to want to go into the pantry and get the cookies? I'm getting the cookies, right?
Yeah.
It just makes it harder to make those better choices.
Yeah.
It doesn't
When
necessarily...
you're irritable, you're like, I want the chocolate. I want the cookies.
Absolutely. So get rid of those symptoms by doing hormone replacement therapy if that is what makes sense for you. And it makes it a lot easier to make those better nutrition choices.
Yeah. Testosterone helps build muscle. Now, I don't think any of these sex steroids, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, when you start taking them, if you just do that, I don't think weight just falls off of you. We never saw that.
Right.
But I do see it as a reason of people could be doing all the same things, and that's why they start gaining weight as they go through menopause, because lack of estrogen and lack of testosterone contribute to insulin resistance, and insulin resistance makes people hold on to fat. So it makes you gain weight, but for some reason, correcting it doesn't make all the weight just fall off for some reason.
That's true. Yeah. And the other part about kind of that menopausal time period in life and the weight gain specifically that comes as a result of that for many people is that it's sort of coincidentally when people just aren't as active during the day, right? So your kids are gone, you're maybe retired, maybe you're not, and you're just not moving your body as much. And so that's another really big contributing factor with menopause in terms of weight and weight loss.
Yeah. Thyroid issues, that's another, easy one. I think everybody kind of knows, like if you have a thyroid problem, that can be contributing to weight loss.
Yeah.
What else? Gut issues of just inflammation in the gut, or just kind of whole body inflammation can make your body hold on to fat. So we do a lot of gut work, of working with our wellness coaches, which I think is great. If somebody's doing the weight loss program, they get that if they're working more one-on-one with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We do really try to individualize our programs with weight loss as much as we can. And we always try to talk to people about the benefits of having those one-on-one visits with us, because there's different options with our programming. And one of those options that we have is those one-on-one visits with the nutrition coaches. There's just so much to be gained out of those visits. And there are 4 coaches currently. We all come from different backgrounds. And so you can gain the benefit of learning from all 4 people potentially, or, whatever the case may be. But there's just so much to be gained from that.
I mean, certainly when I see patients, when you used to see patients, weight gain, inability to lose weight, that was on almost everybody's intake form. And my approach when I see patients is, we're going to look at all your hormones, your sex steroids, which is your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, thyroid, insulin, your cortisol, your stress hormones. Other things can be gut health. We could do a stool test. But if you're not getting the food part right, like that's what's going to really move the needle on weight loss. So if weight loss is one of your main priorities, you really should be working with one of our wellness coaches to do that.
Yep.
And but in an ideal world, because then people will say, well, which should I do first? I'm like, well, in an ideal world, you should do all of them, because that's where I see people have amazing success.
Right.
Because when all your hormones are optimized and balanced, and you got the lifestyle piece going, like people have great results. And it goes both ways. Like you could be doing all the weight loss or the diet stuff right, but if you have metabolic issues or hormone issues, you may not have as much success. Or sometimes people also think that doing these hormones is going to cause the weight to fall off. But if they're not doing all the lifestyle stuff, it's also not going to work.
Exactly. They really do all intertwine.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so hard.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's why it's so hard.
Which is why this miracle drug is really not, it's an amazing drug, the best we've ever had. But if it was so simple of just taking this drug, we wouldn't have an obesity problem in America.
We would not. Nope.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be the number one complaint when we see people.
Right. Diabetes wouldn't be the number one disease for, it's all the things. Yeah, absolutely. It's really not an easy thing to manage because there are so many confounding factors.
Yeah.
Our bodies are so complex.
So hope this helped dive into some of the reasons why weight loss is such a challenging problem. We'd love to talk to you in person with our medical providers, or we actually offer free consultations with one of our wellness coaches. So give us a call or an email. We'll put our contact info in the show notes. Thanks for listening to HealthiHer. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a quick 5-star review on your podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps others discover our show. Do you have questions or want to discuss a particular topic? You can reach us by emailing ask@dramybrenner.com or by calling 513
204-8403 and leaving a voicemail. We might feature your question or comment in an upcoming episode, so don't miss out on the chance to be a part of the conversation. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. We appreciate your support and can't wait to have you back with us next time. Take care, and remember, your HealthiHer journey begins with you.
This podcast is for general information only and does not constitute medical advice, the practice of medicine, nursing, or other healthcare services. No patient-physician relationship is formed. The information in the podcast and any references, material, or links are at the sole discretion of the listener and not meant to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Listeners should not delay or disregard obtaining medical advice for any medical diagnosis or issues that they may have, and should seek medical care or advice from their healthcare provider for any such conditions.